All right, guys, three new income producing multifamily properties hit the market today. Not that many. Let's go ahead and check them out. But before we do, guys, today is the day that the Federal Reserve lets us know what the new 30-year fixed rate mortgage average was for the last week in the US. And as we can see here, it went up again, up to 6.37, basically the same amount as we were, let's see, 4 weeks ago. So we saw it went down and now we're back up almost to the high that we were at the beginning of April. So hopefully this trend does not continue, because it would decrease our purchase power. But at the same time, if you're looking for a duplex that's, below your maximum, right, this could be a huge advantage for you. Okay, because it doesn't really limit your purchase power. You are going to pay more for that property, but it also, what it does is it reduces the amount of competition that you're going to have for that property. All right, there's going to be less buyers out there that are willing to spend that money on that property, or just at the very fact that, let's say you were going to offer that person the most amount of money that you could offer them based on your pre-approval. Now that pre-approval is less, right? Because they could get less financing. So now that seller has to, come to realization there's higher rates out there. If he really wants to sell and he's actually motivated, he's going to have to drop the price. So use this to your advantage, right? But interest rates did go up to 6.37. So let's go ahead and update that on our calculator here, 6.37. All right. And now we are going to take a look at the actual market here in Miami-Dade, Broward, and the Palm Beach areas. And as you can see, over the last 7 days, 2,082 homes hit the market in the same amount of time. 2,043 homes saw a price decrease. So again, a 1-to-1 ratio of houses coming onto the market, houses seeing a price decrease, and you can use this to your advantage by letting the sellers know, like, hey, listen, the reality is that right now, the chances of you dropping your price are going to be pretty high. You're not going to get a buyer right away, right? Whereas with me, you could go ahead and sell it the day that you put the house on the market. Yes, I'm offering you less, but if not, then you're just going to wait longer and maybe you end up getting less. And you could, again, but you're not going to be able to convince any buyer, any seller of this unless you come with facts. Otherwise, it's just like, it's feelings. And most sellers are not being advised by the real estate agents, because most of them also want to make a good commission on what the true value of their house is or how fast they could actually sell. So use this all information to your advantage, all right, to be able to strike a deal. Now, that being said, let's take a look at the three houses that hit the market today, see if any of them make any sense. We're going to come down here, look at new multis. We're going to sort by price per square foot here, all right, and see if any of these are worth a lick. All right, so not bad. They're all under the $400 per foot price range, which is usually where we find our deals. All right, now let's take a look at the first property that hit the market today, $775,000 duplex in Miami-Dade, paying $9,673 a year in taxes. All right, square feet wise, it's good size, 2,085 square feet. And do they tell us how much they're collecting in rents? No, but it's in a mixed flood zone, so you're going to pay a little bit of a premium for that. All right, with a flood zone, it's a flat roof. I don't love it. Okay, but the property does look pretty well maintained. Yeah, it looks pretty nice. I mean, the floors, again, like the floors, but like you can't complain about that stuff because those are easy fixes that just meet. Oh, what the hell is happening here? I think I just got vertigo by looking at this bathroom. Okay, yeah, like what the heck was that? All right, let's take a look at this. Well-maintained duplex features a brand new roof, ideally located in the heart of Miami. This income-producing property offers 2 separate units with concrete block construction and functional layouts. Each unit has its own private entrance, providing flexibility for the investor or owner occupants. The property sits on a fenced lot with on-site parking and low-maintenance exterior, centrally located near major malls, yada, yada, yada. All right, they don't tell us what the makeup is of the units, so let's look at the folio number, see if we could figure something else. All right, so there's 3 owners here. Makes negotiating maybe a little bit more difficult. We're gonna come down here. So it's 2 units. It's 4 bedrooms and 2 baths total. So that means that it's gotta be 2 2-1s, okay? So this property has 2 2-1s. It's in Miami-Dade. I would say that the condition of the property is medium, like, mid-tier here, all right? Nothing crazy. So what can the middle get us, right? The middle here is going to be able to get us, oops, sorry guys. Here we go. Mid in Miami, right, for a 2-1, $2,300 per side. So let's say you get $2,300 here, $2,300 there, you get zero there. That's $4,600 a month, and they are asking for $775. That's maybe 60%, yeah, of the 1% rule, which is not good, right? We want at least 70% of the 1% rule, right? Which basically means 0.7, 0.7. If we want 1%, that's the best, right? That tells you that that property more than likely, almost 100% or 90% of the time is going to cash flow, okay? 95% of the time is going to cash flow. 0.6 is not good. 0.7, it could start making some sense, but it's not going to give you the best return, right? And we start getting really good deals when we get to 0.9, all right? Not all the time, but usually. This is just kind of like an indicator, all right? And then this tells you if you're going to be able to pay the mortgage with the rents. If you buy this using a DSCR loan, which is an investment loan, okay? And even with 25% down payment, if you're collecting $4,600 a month in rent, you know, you're not going to pay even the mortgage. So this, I think this is a little bit overpriced, okay? Let's write that down. $775. It's a duplex. It's in Miami-Dade. Right now it's collecting $4,600. And the returns here, guys, just so you have an idea what the returns would be for this, the returns here are going to be just 6.6%, okay? If you buy it and you rent it out at this price. So it just doesn't make any sense for us, all right? Now, do I think that you could increase the rents here? Maybe, but the property would need to look better than that Twilight-looking bathroom, right? So I would say this is probably the max rents that you could get right now. It doesn't look like he was in distress when I looked at the folio number. It didn't seem like he owed any back taxes. And what's a realistic price drop? I bet you that this guy wouldn't take anything less than $700,000, okay? He wouldn't take anything less than $75,000 off the price. And even if he did that, guys, the property would just at this point, if you put 25% down payment, it would just barely pay the mortgage, right? Which isn't enough, right? We're looking for the property to actually cash flow, right? And if you put money aside in savings for repairs and maintenance, capital expenditures, and vacancy, right? The property wouldn't cash flow for you, even if you put 25% down payment in 8.5 years. So again, this property, just for me, it doesn't really pass the test. And even if you did that, guys, right? The best return you could get there is a 7.6. So terrible property, already looking property, but just it would be a terrible deal. All right. So with that being said, let's discard this property and look at our next deal. Okay, this property is selling for $559,000. Taxes. This property is paying, oh, let's go back here. Right now, it's only paying $6,970 in taxes per year, 6,970. All right, square feet wise, 1,699 square feet. Okay, the rents, they're saying that they're getting $4,000 a month in rents total. Right, let's take a look at the quality of the property, see what else we could figure out. So it looks kind of like the other one, but this one has the pitched roof, which is nicer. It actually looks nicer than the other property. Okay, like it looks well maintained, nicely painted. On the inside, it's very much mid, right? But it's not terrible. This is a turnkey property. This would be great for a first-time investor. The roof does look a little bit older, but maybe that's something they could, help you in negotiations. So let's take a look at the guts of this deal, see what we could figure out. All right, so it's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 2-bedroom, 1-bath. They're charging $2,000 a piece, okay, guys? And it's in Broward County. Now, let's take a look at the rents here, because they're saying they're in Broward County and that's a 2-1. And you can see here, guys, a 2-1 in Broward County does rent out for about $1,960 on median. And I would say, yeah, this property is probably getting that. $2,000, $1,960. It makes sense, okay? So, oops. What did we do here? All right, I might have moved this graph. My apologies. So you could tell, guys, this is not like I built this calculator, so sometimes it behaves a little kooky, as you could see here. Let me try to fix this for you guys. And here we go. All right. So again, you could see right here, right? 1960, right? In Broward County, that's the median. All right. So what we're going to say is that yes, this house is selling for $559. It's a duplex. It's in Broward. It's collecting $4,000 a month in rent. And what that translates to is a return of 9.2%, which is better than the last property that we saw, but it's not the best. Now, do I think that they could get more money? Now, this looks like it's towards the top of what this property could actually produce. So I would say no, but I would say that this guy's probably willing to take off maybe like that $60,000, right? So maybe he's willing to sell it at 500 grand. If he's willing to sell this property at 500 grand, let's say 510, take 49 off. Okay, 510. The returns here jump to 10.8%. And that is a little bit better. I mean, the property then could give you the best returns is like would equal the S&P 500, but that's not what we're looking for, right? That would be just a D property, because for that, why go through all the trouble of having tenants, of having a property, of doing all this stuff if it's just going to give you the same returns as the S&P would over 30 years? Just go ahead and invest in the S&P and sit on your couch. So for that reason, you would need to drop the property to an unreasonable amount that I think that the seller would never agree to, or try to like inflate these rents somehow without incurring additional costs for having maybe short-term rents or something like that. So for that reason, this property is a D for me. I would just go ahead and move on. All right, the last property today, guys, it is $695,000. It's a duplex in Miami-Dade. Taxes are $11,464 a month. Sorry, a month. Yeah, that'd be crazy. A year. Okay. Square feet wise, 2,465 square feet. Now the rents, they're saying that they're actually collecting $6,000 a month in rents. Okay. And if you guys could do the 1% rule, then you guys know that's pretty damn close, right? It's a 0.86% on the 1% rule. All right. So it's already looking good. 695. All right, let's take a look at the property, see what we could figure out. All right, so it doesn't look completely finished. I mean, there needs to be like what goes here? Like the fridge, does it go here or there? Or maybe one of those is a washer dryer, or like, oh no, here's the stove and the microwave. Okay, stove, microwave are missing. Fridge goes there. Okay, let's keep looking. So it looks like they were doing a remodel and maybe they ran out of money, which is not a bad setup if you're looking to invest. Because you're just coming in here, they did all the heavy lifting, you're just coming in here doing the cosmetics and you're bouncing. And you're renting it out. Okay, so this could be a potentially really great deal. All right. Let's take a look at the guts of it, see what we could figure out. Value add duplex in Miami, strong potential. All right. They say that it has 232s. 232s, okay. And that the 232s could rent for $3,000 a month. All right. Now you saw kind of like how the property looks, guys. Let's see if he owes any back taxes on this property. No, he's paid up. Okay. So he's probably motivated to sell, but not, to the point where like he's worrying about like the government coming after him. Now it's a 3-2 in Miami-Dade, and if you could look here at our median rents, a 3-2 in Miami-Dade exactly goes for about $3,000. He says that one of them is rented, right? He comes down here and he says one of them is, actually no, one of them, they're both vacant, basically. The owner lives in one and the other one's gonna be vacant. But yeah, the median rents are $3,000, guys. This looks like a mid kind of a property, okay? It doesn't look like amazing on the outside. Did we get a picture of the outside of the property? We don't, which is unfortunate. Okay, let's look at the property history, see if we can look on the outside here. So it doesn't look bad at all. I mean, we saw 2 meters, so it's a legit duplex. All right, they kind of turned it around, put some paint on it, and they're trying to make $200,000 off of it, right? They probably put in about 100, so they're trying to make a quick 100. All right. With that being said, guys, would the property make sense, right? I think that that's the most that you could possibly get on the rent, so I think that they're right about that. $6,000. It's a Miami-Dade. It's a duplex. Yeah. And that means that the best returns that this property could give you just as is, is going to be a 12.5%. And that's going to be with a 10% down financing. I think that, again, rents are towards their max. But what do we think that we could decrease this price by? Well, there's going to be other investors that are going to be competing with you. So there's going to be a little bit more competition when it comes to the price. So that is going to influence how much of a price decrease you could get in this market. 5%, I would say, once a property is like doing above 12%, is normally what we've been seeing. So I would say that, $7,000, right? So like $700,000, 10% of that would be $70K. So half of that, $35K, is within reason. So, let's say you could actually negotiate $45K off, right? This property and leave it at $650. And that's taking $45K off. That would leave you with returns as good as 14.3%. And I think that that's realistic, right? Taking $45,000 off the purchase price. And so, yeah, this is the best property of today. We saved literally the best for last. So if you guys remember, if you guys are going to look at this property, make sure to do a rental analysis within a 1/10 of a mile or a 1/4 of a mile of property, and that you're comparing this product to the product that you are looking to that got rented, right? Don't look at what they're renting it for. Look at what they actually rented for. Very important difference. You don't want to say like, you just because your neighbor's renting it out for $10,000 a month, right? That guy might be just delusional and crazy and have a equally crazy real estate agent that agreed to list it at that price. But it doesn't mean that he's going to rent it, much less that you're going to rent it. So with that being said, guys, that's it for today. Let me know if you have any questions, comments.